r/AskReddit. Identical twins of Reddit. What's the greatest thing you've achieved by swapping places without anyone noticing? Sure. So freshman year of high school, I had this biology teacher. Great man, but older and easily confused. It's April Fool's Day, so obviously we need to pull the old switch. My brother was in a computer class, which was just down the hallway. So we organize a time to ask to go to the bathroom and then just switch places. That time comes, I approach my teacher, ask to go to the bathroom. He's not really paying attention because he's lecturing, so he says sure, go ahead. I go out, walk by my brother, and approach his classroom. I'm not even in the door when he comes running out of my biology class, face red, literally sprinting down the hallway. He puffs go back, and goes into his computer class. Obviously this confuses the shit out of me. I walk into my biology class to the old teacher laughing his ass off, along with the rest of the class. You're twins. You switched? That's hilarious. Things calmed down, I took my seat, and a classmate told me what happened. Right when my brother walked in, the teacher started screaming at him, "How dare you leave my class in middle of lecture? Who do you think you are?" The whole thing. So my brother freaked out, yelled we are twins. April Fools, like he was one of those YouTube pranksters trying to convince the guy attacking him it's just a prank, and ran from the classroom. So even though the switch didn't work out, it got me out of a yelling and ended up being a good story edit for the confused. Rhino Man 2112 got it right. He said, biology twin asks biology teacher to go to bathroom. Teacher isn't paying attention, doesn't register question and instinctively says yes to aforementioned request. Computer class twin asks to go to bathroom at same time. Computer class twin walks into biology class, at which point the biology teacher realizes the first twin had the audacity to ask to use a restroom during one of his lectures and proceeds to flip shit on computer class twin, all the while not knowing that there is a twin situation. As biology class kid is in hallway, computer class twin runs out, red-faced after being yelled at, telling him the prank is off. Biology class twin comes back into biology class, at which point biology teacher realizes it was a twin prank. Proceeds to let loose a hearty guffaw. My brother and I used to be very close. We would do everything together, and it took quite a toll on our social lives. We would occasionally do the old switcheroo with our teachers, and as we got older we got better at it. Neither of us had the grades to pursue higher education, but since we had both acted a lot in school plays, we had a taste of the theatrics. We began to study showmanship as we attended live acts, watched films, and even as young 20-somethings, we reenacted everything. One day we caught a magic show. This was something pretty special. No fog displays, no lights, no tigers, just humans, contraptions, assistants and human acting. We became obsessed with magic and illusions. We began studying everything. Sleight of hand, card tricks. We started seeing how far we could take the sawing in half gig to make it truly interesting. We mastered the bunny in the hat trick by actually reversing it. We would take a canary, place it into a small cage, and collapse the cage in front of the audience, seemingly killing the bird. But of course, we'd bring the bird back to applause. We ended up moving to a larger city because we felt the need to build our audience and develop a larger act. It was at this time when we began developing our greatest illusion ever. It consumed a great deal of our time, so we began to act as one. I would perform my act solo while he was working on our grand illusion. The next night we would switch. We became very famous, opening for one of our idols before he retired. He actually began mentoring us, but at this point, we had kind of had the charade going on long enough to decide that we would see if we could fool him into believing that we are only one person. Rapidly, our illusions improved, as did our social lives. We both found wonderful women. I married a great girl, and actually had a child with her, while he was more of the flirtatious type and kind of started banging our assistants. With all this happening, keep in mind that everyone thought we were the same person. We did make a pact, never get intimate with the other's partner. To the best of my knowledge he kept true to his word. So our mentor paired us up with another magician, who was quite the expert, but a little egotistical. He brought his own assistant who he was also in a relationship with. We had a horrible mishap with an escape illusion and actually his assistant died as a part of the act. It was humiliating and it killed our act while turning him against us. Unable to sell out a venue, my brother and I tried our best with street magic while we perfected our grand illusion, which was nearly complete. Unfortunately, I was badly injured in an illusion featuring a prop gun. I had a good piece of my hand blown off, including a finger. Our mentor advised against this, and our poor judgment left me the victim of some smarters who wanted to act tough by dropping a pebble into the barrel of the gun. This is where our act nearly fell apart. We were no longer identical. It was here where my brother showed an incredible level of solidarity. He asked that I cut off his finger too. Bewildered, I refused. He insisted and appealed to my passion for finishing our greatest illusion ever. I reluctantly obliged, and I helped remove his finger. It was brutal, and I don't forgive myself for it to this day. As we became busier, we developed a type of disguise and backstory for the other twin, so we could be in public together. It worked. The guy in disguise just stayed aloof and silent and the star of the show did all the work. We'd switch of course. Finally, after years of hard work, practice, and careful planning, the illusion was complete. Our illusion was ready. We performed our illusion at the end of an otherwise mediocre act. It was executed flawlessly. I walked through a doorway and instantly I appeared meters away in a different doorway. We called it the Transported Man. Thunderous applause. The best show anyone has ever seen. Howdy did it's all over the place. We remained silent. Not long after, Wolverine framed my brother for murder, and my brother was executed. On the day of his death, I visited Wolverine and killed him. Tesla did some crazy science shit and I became Batman. In high school, I used to play football with a set of identical twins. They were both big, tall, muscular guys. Probably 6 feet 4 inches, 260 lbs. They both played offensive line. Our senior year, one of them decided to sign up for cross country and everyone was puzzled. He didn't exactly have the build for a cross country runner. He said he was doing it to stay in shape. So for the first meet, a lot of people showed up to see him run. There he was in a tight tank top and shorty shorts towering over all of the other runners warming up. He was double the size of most of them. So he lines up to run with all of the other kids. They fire the gun and he takes off in a dead sprint. He ran full steam the length of this 100-yard open field and disappeared into the woods. Everyone was laughing hysterically because the rest of the kids were pacing themselves for a 5-mile run, but he, the largest person there, was emptying the gas tank for a huge sprint. There is no way he could keep up that pace, right? A few minutes later he emerged from the other end of the field, and with no one even close to him, he is still in a full sprint. You could hear his huge feet tearing at the earth as he went by like a racehorse. He was sweating heavily, face red, breathing hard. Surely he must be about to stop. He had just sprinted 1 mile and had 4 more to go. But lap after lap, he emerged from the woods and sprinted past the crowd and back into the woods until he crossed the finish line in first place by an enormous margin. He set the course record. Immediately everyone began to speculate. I guess it's just because of his long legs, or these football guys must be in tremendous shape. But one person, the cross-country coach, figured it out. When the big guy sprinted way out in front of everyone, he left them out of sight, which was key to his plan. His identical brother, wearing the same cross-country uniform, was hiding in a hunting blind, waiting in the woods for him. As soon as Brother A got remotely close, Brother B would take off in a sprint and Brother A would get in the blind, rest, get a drink of water, and wait for his brother. Rinse, repeat. The cross-country coach kept it pretty quiet. He confronted Brother A and said, "I won't let you run in the future unless I can see Brother B." Brother A basically said that it was just a joke and they had no intention of running the whole season, so he quit. But we have a hall at the high school that is dedicated to sports achievements called the Hall of Fame. His picture is still hanging there with his record listed. This was about 17 years ago. My twin sister and I were inseparable, like most are, growing up. When we got to 11th grade, my sister got her first boyfriend. Needless to say, I became distraught and practically depressed when she started spending so much time with him. I had felt that I lost my sister and she had completely forgotten about me. I sat down with her and talked to her about it. She completely understood and decided to have her boyfriend, let's call him Tom, over to our place more often. I became the ultimate third wheel. My sister, Tom, and I would end up going to the movies, getting dinner, and going on walks together. I always secretly thought Tom was incredibly cute, but I never let my sister know it. One glorious Friday night, all three of us had hit the Burnett's handle especially hard. Later into the night, we were all drifting towards sleep on the couch and were on the verge of passing out. Before going to bed, Tom drunkenly walked up the stairs to use the restroom. I could tell that he was wasted. My sister's bedroom was upstairs, while mine was on the ground level. I looked over at her and realized she was passed out. In my drunken stupor, I found myself fantasizing about Tom and I immediately started getting wet for him. I don't know what I was thinking, but I walked up the stairs. I met Tom as he was exiting the bathroom and went in for the most passionate, drunken, hottest kiss of my life. I led him to my sister's bedroom. Tom fucked me like an animal on my twin sister's bed that night. Tom came 3 times and we fucked passionately hard for nearly 2 solid hours. To this day, it is still the best sex I've ever had. Afterwards, we settled into bed, and as soon as Tom passed out, I slinked out of his arms back downstairs to fall asleep next to my sister on the couch. The next morning, my sister was upset at Tom for not carrying her up to bed. He was extremely hungover and claimed not to have remembered a thing past 11 PM. I feigned ignorance and also claimed to have blacked out that night. It was the greatest lie I've ever told, just like this entire post. Twin reporting and with a drunken college story. My brother and I were at a college party, wasted of course, and I happened to get lucky that night with a random girl. After I got her to my bedroom, I guess some sort of consciousness dawned on me, because I decided I didn't want to catch an STD, although I still wanted to get off. So I managed to put a pillow over my head as she went down on me. I told her how amazing she is. I want this for the rest of my life. How it's the best BJ I've ever had, etc. So she got really into it. Even totally I got off, and she got nothing in return. This obviously made her a bit frustrated, because nothing came out of it for her. So before she went to clean herself up, she told me that when she gets back from the bathroom I better bang her. Of course, I responded. This is where it gets interesting. So as she went to the bathroom I quickly threw off the bedsheets and ran downstairs to the party. I grabbed my brother to tell him there is a girl in the room upstairs, if he wants her. He was drunk so obviously agreed. Now, we looked pretty similar at the time, and to a complete stranger I doubt she would know the difference. At the time, I didn't even think that his manhood may have been bigger or smaller, different, whatever, yet some reason the only thing that dawned at me at the time was that I had bigger earrings. He had small little stud diamonds, and I had larger gauge piercings. So being the idiots that we are, I took my big earrings out and we jammed them into his small piercings. Meanwhile we were at it, the poor girl was so upset in the bathroom over what happened that she walked right past us. The funny thing is, my brother went running after he apologizing and sweet talking her to come back, pretending to me. Man, it would have been much more interesting if he actually went through with it, although I feel like that would be bad karma for life. So my stepdad and his brother are not bad people, just incredibly stupid and have never been in a crash. Essentially when they were 16 my stepdad didn't know the road rules, so he had his brother take the test. In New Zealand you start off with a learner's or theory test in which you must gain a certain amount of hours with a full licensed driver before you can take your restricted, in which you can drive by yourself but have to wait 6 months for your full license, but with no alcohol, which in effect is just a license but with alcohol. Restrictions removed. Anyway, blah blah. One of the learners had taken the test for my stepdad, and because they are identical they now both have a license. When one of them has a license taken off them, they send each other their license and claim each other's name to avoid a driving ban. They have been avoiding the NZ police system for 30 years as they always drive after a few beers. But to be fair, they are one of the few people who don't actually drink drive till a comatose point. They only dodge the alcohol maximum of having like 2 beers. I still feel safe with them whilst driving as they are very good drivers. Another time they have abused their identical nature is when they are overseas. Blah blah went to England and went to a bar and made a dick of himself and fucked over my stepdad by claiming his name the whole night. My stepdad and my mum do an overseas mission to England and go to that bar not knowing the problems blah blah caused. One patron comes over and says blah blah, "You fucking asshole, you have some nerve showing up here again," gets punched right in the IKO. Mum continues to freak out and make sure he's okay. He only needed stitches, but essentially they play Spy vs Spy with each other in NZ and other countries. Some of the stories I hear when they both drink together are so fucking funny. I will tell you guys the other ones when I hear them. Identical twin here. My brother and I look startlingly similar and people often get confused. During college we went to different universities, but would visit each other quite often. My girlfriend at the time would always say how strange it was when we all were hanging out, since we looked so much like each other. So anyway, me and my brother get to scheming and decide he should visit and come to a party with me and my friends and wear the same outfit. He arrives and we are both dressed to the nines in 3-piece suits, the exact same down to the tie. We all head out on the town and people are double taking everywhere we go. We hit the bar and have a couple of drinks and then head to a house party. When we get to the party, my bro goes in first while I park the car and everyone is greeting him as if he was me. He just plays it off and goes with it. We made a point to not be seen side by side throughout the night. As you can guess, everyone thinks that I'm basically all over the place at the same time at this party. News spreads fast that I was seen cheating on my girl with 2 different girls making out in the living room and parking lot. Finally, me and my bro throw the final wildcard we had planned for quite some time. I tell my girl to meet me in the bedroom upstairs, and I will be up in just a second because I had to grab something from the car. So as you guessed, my bro heads up to the room. Our plan was to pretend that he was trying to con her into thinking he was me, and we would burst into a huge fake fist fight and then in the end a fit of laughter. So I wait a couple minutes and then head upstairs. When I get to the bedroom I knock a couple times to let my bro know it's me. He says something along the lines of, "Hey man, we are in here, get lost." I burst in and am like, what the fuck is going on here? What I didn't prepare myself for is that my brother would have my girlfriend, but naked and going to town on her. All of a sudden the fight was a real thing and the stupid prank was out the window. I tackled my bro with murder in my eyes. We were wrestling around on the floor while my girl screamed her head off. I finally pinned my bro down and with tears in my eyes asked him how he could do it to me. He didn't know what to say and I could tell he felt bad and was quite drunk. The only thing he could muster to say was "I'm in need about Trifidi." It was about this time that I realized I didn't actually have a twin brother. In fact, I was an only child. This son of a bitch fucking my girlfriend was in fact a plesiosaur from the prehistoric era. I screamed, "You no good cheating bastard, you dirty old Loch Ness monster, you get the fuck away from me and my girl, you rotten asshole, I ain't never giving you no Trifidi." Me and my girl broke up that night and I never forgave her for that. I mean, even before she knew who that bastard really was, she admitted to thinking it was really my twin and not me. New Year's Eve 2011. My brother and I are at the same party at our friend's place, probably around 60 to 70 people there, give or take. My bro had been hooking up with this girl, we'll call her J, for a little while, but they had since stopped doing so, and each moved on. No hard feelings. J was a solid 7.5 on the Richter scale, and was also at the night party. I guess I should tell you now that J had an identical twin sister. RR and I had a very mild sexy encounter in our past, but nothing like what my bro and J had going on. From here on out, I'll just lay out the facts, so you may interpret them as you wish. As it was nearing midnight, Jay and I met on the basement stairs. The basement was nice, and so some of the party was down some up, and promptly began going at it. To this day, I cannot say with 100% certainty if I knew that it was Jay not R, and I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to hear that she thought I was my bro. I asked my bro what he thought about it, and he said he was disappointed he hadn't found R or he'd otherwise have made a pass at her. Not necessarily on purpose, but amusing nonetheless. Edit. Yes, my bro and I are identical twins. Edit. One more. Bro and I went to an all-guys Catholic high school for our freshman year. Like many all-boys Catholic schools, we had an affiliated, all-girls, sister school. For a little while we both had girlfriends who went to the sister school, Mount Street Mary Zacchaeus Lutz on the slope / hose on the hill, but I digress. Who were very close friends. They used to do that thing where they'd go to the bathroom together. It just so happened that the door for the room we were in was behind the couches we're sitting on, and so upon approaching the couch one could see just the back of our heads. We switched shirts and switched spots promptly. Our girlfriends came back from whatever the hell girls do in there together and sat down next to who they thought was their respective boyfriend / twin. Nothing spectacular happened as a result, just much laughter, embarrassment, and validation because they always insisted they could tell us apart, no matter the situation. Needless to say, we proved them wrong that night. My twin brother and I went to different colleges and didn't generally reveal to the friends we made that we each had a twin. One day a group of people approached him in the street, calling him by my name and asking him if he would like to join them in the pub. He knew that I was already at the pub, so he said he'd bet them free drinks if he beat them to the pub in a foot race, even if he gave them a head start. They agreed and ran off at top speed, while he stood there casually checking his watch and buffing his fingernails on his lapel, only for them to arrive exhausted and find me standing at the bar, drink already in hand. I know it's not exactly an achievement, but it was a fun twin moment. I once pulled off a pretty awesome switch. It was senior year of high school. There was this kid in our calculus team who was a sophomore, and he was a little gullible, but obviously pretty smart to be in calculus as a sophomore. Some of us would occasionally make fun of his gullibility, and he was starting to get a little wary. One day, this kid says hi to Carlos, some guy in our chemistry class. The guy responds that he's not Carlos, he's Ivan, Carlos's twin, who was not in our chemistry class. We all continue to inform him that the guy was indeed Ivan and not Carlos. The kid didn't fall for that, of course. He knew we were making fun of him. Except that not only was it actually Ivan, but Ivan and Carlos are fraternal twins. They're even of different heights. We thought this was hilarious. As I was telling another friend about this incident after chemistry class, a plan was hatched. My mother has a twin sister, and my father has a twin brother, and they also got married and had a kid who looks just like me. My twin cousin Steve. Never mind that the genetics of this don't make any sense and that in the country where I'm originally from, Steve would have been a very uncharacteristic name. So, I told most people on the math team about this plan. Steve was in algebra 2 at a private school in the county where we happened to have friends. Occasionally, during lunch with the target kid, someone would ask me how my cousin Steve was doing. A few weeks later, maybe they'd drop in my twin cousin Steve in casual conversation. Eventually, someone asked me to tell the story of how I have a twin cousin. This went on for a few months. Just casual remarks every once in a while, until, finally, the opportunity came for this kid to meet Steve. At one nearby competition every year, we would organize a lunch party at someone's house during the break. That year, we decided to invite the team from the nearby private school along to the lunch party, and Steve was going to make his appearance. I borrowed a school shirt from my friend at that school and brought my sunglasses. At some point during the party, which was in the backyard of the host's house, I started feeling ill. I stopped eating, and a little while later I went inside the house. I quickly changed into the other school's shirt, put on my sunglasses, which I don't usually wear, and, shit, my hair was still sprayed in our school colors for the competition. I put on a local sports team hat that I found in the host's room. I don't normally wear those, and went out the front door to go around the back. I affected my speech and acted extremely hungry, and holy shit, I totally pulled it off. The kid was astonished that Steve looked so much like me. This carried on for a few minutes before I was unmasked by